Hi, welcome to the Soil Inventory Talk Show. My name is Grace Rero, a farmer and an agronomist. I'm so glad that you had time and chance to be here with me today to do this video. I'll be having a fun video stroke, maybe one of those videos that maybe is educative, but also I hope you learn a thing or two or enjoy this video. Karibuni sana. So the last time that I ever did a video about farming was a while ago when I had James, an agronomist, who is my colleague, and also I had Anne, who is also an agronomist and also my colleague, and I think we had our lead farmer, who is Faustin. I've done this video previously where we had listed a piece of land and we were doing some maize plantation, but this time round we decided to do the same, but also we list a piece of land somewhere that is a bit drier and in the same locality. So we in that place where we did it's called Solai, where we have been championing for conservation agriculture. But in Solai we have the dry part of Solai, and then we have the at least wet side of Solai, but generally it's semi-arid towards Lake Solai. And this time we have places in Solai where they do coffee, but also we have places in Solai where they used to do a lot of sisal, but right now they have replaced sisal with some maize. And we decided we'll go to that dry part and do what the farmers are doing, but we will use our own method, which was conservation agriculture. So we went and leased a piece of land. And when we did this, of course, we looked for seed varieties that maybe were a bit drought resistant, but also we did two varieties, and one actually did a little bit better. So I remember this year when the rains had started, I think the meteorological department or the government had already advised the farmers not to do long-term crops, which they recommended, maybe vegetables, because vegetables take at least 3 months, and maybe if it's rain dependent, they don't require lots of rain like the long season crops. Like maize, for the short season, I think would be approximately 4.5 months, like the least time that you'll take from planting maybe to at least the first harvesting maybe of the green maize. But if you're waiting up to the dry maize, it will take a little bit longer. But for us, we decided to go with what the farmers would recommend. Most farmers recommend that you should do your planting after Easter, which I think we did 2 days before Easter or 3 days. That's when we planted. And we did that. We planted, but we used a reaper instead of the disc, because most farmers are used to the disc plow, which turns the soil. But for us, we prefer the reaper because it conserves the soil. And considering that was a drier part, conservation agriculture would come handy, not exposing the soil and also just allowing the soil moisture to conserve the moisture that is in the soil. So we did the planting, and alas, the first month was a little bit better. I'll be putting some of the photos here so that you'll see when we'll visit. And then it came to a time when we were planting, we did at least one portion was we did both organic and inorganic fertilizer, but the rest of the portions we only did the inorganic fertilizer. Then it came to the top dressing part, and I remember we did top dressing when it was knee high. That's when we recommend at least knee around there. So we did our top dressing. Let me tell you, after we did the top dressing, I think it rained only once or twice. And you can imagine how far a maize plant is after top dressing, and then the rains fail. This is what farmers go through, by the way, my friends. That especially when farmers are independent, and most farmers in our country depend on the rains and the seasons, and that's why we do not have sometimes crops going throughout the year. Like, they're not all seasons, so most farmers wait for seasons. But farmers who have invested in irrigation, at least they have a time to go throughout the year and have an all season crop. And that when you have irrigation, that means there are good seasons where you reap and you earn good money, because other farmers are waiting for the rains, but you already have your crop ready for the market when the prices are up. So In this area, there are no there are people who do irrigation, but the irrigation places are a bit far, and the water places are a bit far. So when the rains failed, we decided to wait as the other farmers would wait, and yeah, we waited. And last a few days ago, we decided to go and check on the crop and if it was ready for harvest, in case we had any. And we go, and one of the people who was taking care of our farms tells us, hey, you guys are lucky. At least you have something to harvest. People are not harvesting anything because the rains failed. But those who planted a little bit earlier before the Easter, like 3 weeks earlier, have something to harvest. When we asked what this something was, and I remember we were having a discussion with James, and we were saying we should, if we will do minimum, the first season, the first time we ever did the leasing and the planting of maize, we would joke and say minimum should be 40 bags per acre. Then we are here, the rains have failed, and we go and we want to harvest, and the guy tells us, yeah, you'll get something to harvest, and at least you should be thankful you have something to eat. And I think that's like a narrative that is always there, that in case the season fails, at least get something to eat. And I think that's how some of our farmers have survived, and that's what has been already on their mind. And I was just thinking, and we were I'll get James' reaction, and you'll hear what his recommendation was. Plus, that's what I would recommend. That some of the places where they are dry, we should recommend drought tolerant crops, and crops that are well adapted to semi arid and arid conditions, and not do maize. Like maize has been such a staple that even in places that maize does not do well, farmers still struggle and still strive to still plant their maize and only harvest so little that they would have done another alternative crop, maybe like sorghum or millet or something else. They would have harvested at least quite a crop, and would have sold some, left some for eating, and whatever they would sold, they would have bought maybe the maize, and if they have to have the staple food, it will be there. And we go and harvest. Would you guess how many bags that we got? Now we did this in blocks. Their blocks are like 5 acres, 5 acres, 5 acres. So we did the first block, my friends. If our recommendation would be 40 bags, at least on the list would have 40 bags per acre. You'll imagine how much we got, maybe from the block. My friends, it's tough out here when you see farmers, and sometimes they're referred to as maybe in the rural, and of course we have rich farmers, but I know sometimes they are termed as peasant, and sometimes they say farming is associated sometimes with not big income and poverty. At times it's because of the lack of maybe of information, and having even agronomists. I would recommend any agronomist who can offer services to their local farmers. If not, if not giving back to the society, please do, because sometimes the information is much needed. If you have a recommendation that is better than the traditional practices that our farmers have been having. Now back to my field, and in this um, block, that if we would go by what we are saying is a recommendation of what you'd harvest as a farmer, that will be around, that's 5, and then plus 40, that will be at times 40, that will be around 200 bags. You can imagine. So we inquire after we have harvested, and of course this is a shock, but to some extent maybe we would have expected this crop failure. We would have expected a crop failure, and we inquire what other farmers got. And I remember the guy who was doing the he was helping us with getting the grain with his machine. He he told us, hey, you guys are lucky. At least you have something. You have a crop to feed on. You have some food. People are harvesting nothing. In fact, he gives us a story. In fact, somebody somewhere did at least 3 acres, and he really did a lot of investment only to get 1.5 bags, and we're like, what? 3 acres for 1.5 bags? My friends, we are not any better, by the way. So in this block, we get first enjoy how farmers do their thing in this place. Just check on the struggles of the farmer. Then at the end of this video, I am so sure you'll know how many bags we did, which will not be our joy anyway, but we did the farmer's way. Guys, this is the farmer's way, and this is what they harvest. You can imagine how resourceful agronomists are in advising, but also in recommending, but also the research institutions that are there are so instrumental to help the farmer achieve a better crop, not only doing the staple food crop, but doing other crops that will bring income, but also will contribute towards achieving the goal of food security, but also earning a decent income for the farmers. Just check what the farmers go through. This is during the harvesting and how they go by up to the it's not a milling, what do we call it, shelling, so that they will have their grain, and then maybe sell, and also have some for some food for sustenance in their households. Enjoy this bit that we also went through what the farmers go through. So my friends, you have seen how that is the little bit process of how farmers labor to get your grain to the market, and maybe the grain taken to the millers, and the millers get flour on your table. I know you have seen in the five portion, in the first 2 acres where we did the organic and inorganic, we got 5.5 bags. The second piece of 2 acres where we only did inorganic fertilizer, we got 4 bags. So that's 5.5, that's 4 bags, that's 9.5 bags. And the last portion where we did both inorganic and organic, that's the 1 acre, we got 2.5 bags. That tells you we got 12 bags in 5 acres, my friend, out of a possible, if it was a maize growing region, or rather if good recommendation was done, which was supposed to be, minimum was saying 200 bags, but you can imagine if we did another crop that is recommended for the area, that will not be the scenario, because we would have done an arid or semi-arid crop that is drought resistant, but also can bear with the environmental conditions of the area. They might have said the rains have failed, but that area is semi-arid. So the maize variety that we did, because some of the portions of the field that we did a different variety, there was total crop failure. That means the only thing that was harvested were the stalks, and that meant they were meant for the animals. But I would want to say we did the crop that did at least better to give us this, considering other maize seeds had total crop failure, was the Savo. That's the variety. I'm putting the picture there, the specific variety that we did. So I hope you enjoyed this video, learned a thing or two, but also appreciated the struggle that farmers go through. Until next time, that's all that I had for today. Bye bye.